will meet 7 individuals who are truly living legends. Their personal stories and contributions to not only Indiana, but to our country and our world are both fascinating and inspirational, and they have literally impacted the lives of thousands of people. Entrepreneurs, philanthropists and volunteers, educators, authors, scientists, mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters, this diverse group of individuals all have one thing in common: sharing their time, talents, and treasures to make this world a little better than they found it. Before we begin recognizing our honorees, I would like to introduce Tanya Weathers-Bridge, who is the Chief of Staff for Lieutenant Governor Sue Ellspermann. As Chief of Staff, Tanya assists the Lieutenant Governor with the management of the Executive Office and was appointed by the Lieutenant Governor to serve as the Board Chair for the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority and the Indiana Tourism Council. Tanya has served on numerous community boards and committees, and is a graduate of the 2009-2010 Richard T. Lugar Excellence in Public Service, a national leadership program.
Well, ni hao and good evening. It's such an honor to join all of you to salute our legends this evening. I've had the honor of meeting most of you that will be honored this evening, and it's just such a great thrill to be here. I've been asked by Governor Pence and Lieutenant Governor Sue Ellspermann to extend their warmest greetings to all of you this evening. And while they regret that they couldn't be here with you, they ask that I extend their heartfelt congratulations to all of the honorees and extend their appreciation for everyone who played a role in this really lovely event tonight. As Chief of Staff for Lieutenant Governor Sue Ellspermann, I've had the great privilege and honor to work with some wonderful people throughout our state and throughout our nation and even throughout the world. But none finer than their very own Waylin Long. Waylin and I became friends some months ago as we were working together on behalf of the state of Indiana and visiting our Asian countries on a trade mission, an agricultural trade mission. So I wanted to extend my appreciation to Waylin. Thank you for extending the invitation to be here this evening, and more importantly, thank you for your wonderful friendship. You know, I think it's important this evening that we always celebrate and lift up those people who have done extraordinary things for our communities, for our great state, and for our nation. And it's important because we want to say thank you and show our appreciation, but we also want to show our appreciation to encourage others to do the same. And so I'd like to say, Shishia.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Those lovely words were appreciated. Next, I would like to introduce Jane Gelhausen. Let's see her here somewhere. Jane is the Director of International and Cultural Affairs for the City of Indianapolis, and she will deliver greetings on behalf of Mayor Greg Ballard. Jane. Good evening, everybody. Shay. I'm honored here to meet with you tonight, representing Mayor Ballard. Unfortunately, he's out of town tonight. He's actually in Pittsburgh. He's at the U.S. Gymnastics Championships, along with Indiana Sports Park, because next year we're going to have the Indiana Gymnastics Championships here. So he's welcoming them to our city in Pittsburgh tonight. Everyone knows, actually, Mayor Ballard is very passionate and has a strong vision for Indianapolis to progress as a global city. He's committed to making Indianapolis a welcoming and inclusive community that's a great place to live, work, and raise a family. He's said this since 2008, since he became the mayor of our city. You all know he's so proud of our Chinese community. He goes to so many of your programs. When he became mayor in 2008, he wanted to establish a relationship with China. And so he established a sister city in Hangzhou, which is the capital city of Zhejiang province, which is a sister state to Indiana. He also started the Indian Chinese Festival. So everybody mark your date. It's September 27th, downtown here in Indianapolis. And many of the Chinese organizations here, we collaborate together to put on that festival. So it's a really wonderful way the Chinese community comes together. So he's very proud of our Chinese community, and it's very strong and active in our city. So I just want to talk about Indianapolis for a bit, only a short minute. It is such a great place, and I know most of you know that. But I've really just been so amazed that we've been recognized so many times, actually in 2014. And I just wanted to read a couple of these, just to let you know how great our city is right now in our country. New York Times rated it was one of the top 50 places in the world to visit Indianapolis. We have the #1 best downtown in Indianapolis according to livability. We are in the top 10 best cities to start a new career according to Time magazine. We're #1 best cities to see on a bike. And we're 4th in the world to see a city on a bike. Mayor Ballard loves biking, so he's very happy with that one. So we have the best downtown sports scene in the United States, according to State of Journey. Indianapolis has emerged nationally as a vibrant center for business, tourism, and everyday life, according to Delta Sky magazine. We're one of the top 10 American cities to relocate, according to CNBC. And this city is ready to prove it belongs in the big leagues, according to USA Today. So that's pretty exciting that India is developing a reputation to be in the big leagues. Cool? But we Hoosiers, although we're still a bit humble, do know that India is a great place to live. And all you here this evening contribute to make our city a great quality of life. You bring a rich culture to the city. You're leaders in our business, education, healthcare, and civic fields. You show your traditions of dance and music throughout the year through many festivals and performances. And of course, we have great Chinese and Asian restaurants where we can experience authentic Asian food. And you're committed to providing Chinese and Asian news here and abroad to educate our community. So thank you all for everything that you do to make our community better. It's a great place to attract people to come from around the world to live and to work. I want to thank IAAT for everything that you do, your board, and all your volunteers since 2004 have been putting up this bi-weekly newspaper that is really tremendous. So thank you. I want to also acknowledge all the honorees. Congratulations to all of you this evening. And again, on behalf of Mayor Ballard, we're just really excited for this community. Thank you.
Past president for the Indianapolis Opera Company and the Indianapolis Opera Foundation. And she continues to serve as a board member for both of those organizations. In 2009, Mrs. Curran served as the co-chair for the 20th anniversary celebration of the Idle Jordan Museum. She is a founding member of the Friends of Riverdale, a historic garden on the campus of Marian University, and a sustaining member of the Junior League of Indianapolis. Currently, Mrs. Curran serves and the Indiana Experience. Hopefully many of you were able to see earlier. Mrs. Curran has served as an IHS trustee from 2003 to 2011 and has been a member of the Executive Governance and Development Committees and returned to the IH board last year in 2013. Representing the Indiana Historical Society, it is my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Patricia Curran.
Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed exploring the Indiana experience as you step ahead in time. My name is Patty Curran, and I'm a trustee of the Indiana Historical Society. It's my pleasure to be here with you. Thank you very much for being here. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for all the honors.
Good evening. Welcome and thank you to all of you to be here to make this evening a success. Thank you very much for the kind words from Tanya, Jane, and Pam. It's very encouraging. History is all about telling stories. Stories are account of humanities and communications to future generations. Tonight, we gather here with over 200 people. We are making history and we are making memories. So, also, we're here to celebrate IAAT's 10th anniversary. We started in 2004. So it's been a long journey, and we thank you for all your support. We take this opportunity to celebrate the Chinese American heritage, culture, life, and success, and to congratulate the and honored 7 immigrants who became model Hoosier citizens. All these individuals had a very humble beginning. They came to this country. Some of them don't speak much English, or none, but with their tenacity, their strength, their faith, they survived and did well. They overcame life's hardship, and they advanced themselves while raising their family and working. Tonight, we honor them for their professional contributions, their service to the community, to the country, to our country, and to the world. Together, these 7 individuals accumulated over 600 years of life experience. That's quite a bit. And my sincere thanks to the honorees to allow us tonight to tell your stories and to share your stories. You are here to make this happen. Thank you very much. And a big thank you, of course, to our partner, the Indiana Historical Society, provide us with these wonderful facilities. And I'm sure that the stories tonight will be recorded and go down history in their archives. So also a big thank you to our partners and our sponsors. That they are listed in one of our slides, and I don't want to take up your time before dinner. And I would like to introduce our board member to you at this time. We have our Vice President, Li Ying-Chen. She's with IUPUI, she's a software engineering. And our Secretary, Stan Jacobs. He's the Director of Marketing and Hospitality with the Omni and Hotel and Resort. He worked real hard for this game, so thank you. And our treasurer, Dr. Peggy Hu, who many of you know from her medical practices, and our board member, Jim Perrin. He's with United Water, and he is the 4-term mayor of Elkhart, Indiana, in his previous life before United Waters. And Wai Ling Long, who now has her own consulting firm promoting business and commerce between Indiana and China. Professor Yao Bing-Chen, he is department head of IUPUI. And Vicky Cole, retired busy. She most of all, I would like to thank all the IAAT volunteers. And you know who you are, you're over there, and some of you over there. You are the ones that make our bi-weekly newspaper happen and available to the community. Your community spirit is second to none. So thank you so much. And also my special thanks to Kathy Perrin. She's the hostess of this evening. And now, without further ado, one more thing, I would like to invite Dr. Peggy to come out and say a few words, following our bilingual tradition, say a few words in Chinese, and after that, I promise you, dinner will be served. Thank you.
Thank you. 谢谢大家，谢谢大家今天都到这来，我们大家一起庆祝我们印州华报。那么今天走到了第10个年头，没有大家的支持，没有各位志愿者的帮助，这是不可能的。所以感谢大家，谢谢。The food was wonderful, and the service was also very good. So thank you very much. Tonight we are recognizing 7 individuals from the Chinese American community who have made significant contributions on a local, state, and national and global level. To say this group of individuals is benevolent and self-sacrificing is an understatement, and I know you will be as fascinated with their stories as I was. Our first honoree of the evening is Albert Chen. Mr. Chen is being recognized for his contributions as an entrepreneur and philanthropist. Here to tell us more about Mr. Chen are his son Stanley Chen and his daughter Stephanie Furman.
Good evening, and it's an honor to come up here and say a little bit about our father. Again, my name is Stan. This is my sister Stephanie, and it's a privilege for us to be able to spend some time here with you tonight. It's also a little bit coincidental, or fortunate, or lucky, or whatever you want to call it, that we are actually here in the great state of Indiana. When my parents immigrated over here, they were on the West Coast, and Albert was working for a company called GTE, which is now part of Verizon. They were based in the state of Washington, and while he was working there, he had an opportunity to get transferred, and so they had given him a few different options to look at. And so one of the options was in California, in the Los Angeles area, very exciting, right? Glitz and glamour. One of the options was in Texas, in the Houston area, large Chinese contingent in Houston. And one of the options was Indiana, which, 35 years ago, certainly wasn't a bastion of diversity. But for a number of reasons, he chose Indiana. And here we are 35 years later.
So that was supposed to be the funny part of the story. The sentimental part of it is that, we've had several opportunities over the years to perhaps change our home base. Growing up in Indiana and being part of the community here, I think as a child or as a teenager, I know myself in particular, and I think Stan as well, we're like, why are we in Indiana? Come on, Mom, Dad, let's move. We can move anywhere. You can move in Taiwan, you can move your business. We don't really have a lot of extended family here. We don't need to be in Indiana. So we're like, we can move to California, the weather's so great. Florida, there's the beach, or any number of states. But we chose to root here. My mother, because she likes familiarity, and my father, because he likes,
stability. And so as such, we stayed. And not only did they stay, but both my brother and I have also chosen to come back, and we have started our families, and we have been here as well.
And I think that, one of the things, of course, that there's a value there is, of course, family. And being around Indiana has become home to us. One of the things that is often overlooked is that, both of our parents were involved in building up Telemon as a business. And, a number of you have run businesses here. You know how much it takes. And the same was true for them. A lot of long hours, a lot of nights and weekends at the office. And even in the midst of that, I think both of them still made an effort to make sure they were involved. And so one of the things that certainly I remember is that growing up, always trying to find some time to carve out with Dad in the midst of kind of travel, business travel, traveling to Asia. And but it was really quality time that you're kind of looking for. And so one of the things that I've actually been reflecting on a lot here recently, as I have a couple of small children that are just starting school, is that in high school, Dad would drive me to school in the mornings. And so we had about a 15-minute commute. I was attending high school for Buff Jesuit here in town. And so he would take me in the mornings, and that was kind of our time. And I didn't really appreciate that as a teenager, right? I'm just looking to get to school. But you look back on those times, and those were kind of really valuable 15 minutes, and we would have all sorts of random conversations, right? Sometimes about life, sometimes about business. He would ask me for my opinion on different business issues, and I can only imagine the kind of advice I gave to him as a 15-year-old. But it was always kind of a sweet time that you look back on and cherish and appreciate, again, his desire to carve out that portion of his day to spend time with us.
And as I reflect back on some time that, as children that we have with my mother, I kind of think that Stan's a lucky one here. He got to spend, his high school years with our father driving him and being able to maybe give some advice, maybe. I use that word a little loosely. But let's just be honest. I paved the way for that, being the older sister. I was musical as a child, forcing Stan to be musical as a child, forcing our parents to accommodate the musicality in our family. I did debate as a child. Then my brother did debate as a child, forcing our parents, again, to listen to us debate whether, between and amongst ourselves or actually, for the school. I played tennis as a child, and my brother also played tennis as a child. Again, forcing our parents to come watch us do these activities as we are young and growing up. So, you're welcome. And in closing, we are very proud of our father. So, Daddy, congratulations. We're so proud of you. We hope one day that we will also be able to follow in your footsteps just along the way as you have done so well for yourself here. And we also like to congratulate all the other nominees as well.
I guess we get to present. So Albert, if you'd like to join us up here.
He asked me to say a few words. Just a few, so I'll give it 20 seconds. Actually, before I accept this honor, I struggled almost a few weeks whether I should take it or not. And the reason is very simple. The category is entrepreneur and philanthropy. I don't think I truly deserve this award. It's my wife, Margaret Cho. And I'm not trying to praise my wife. There's evidence, in fact, to show that is the case. First, really the co-founder for the telephone. And actually, she is the first employee. She worked 3 months, started 3 months before I truly joined. So that it's everything. After that, she's working for the next 20 years. She created the first employee manual. Then as far as the philosophy, and you know I grew up from the poor family, and I'm very frugal. The people know me, I'm very frugal. But because of my wife is so jealous, so she trained me because I have a new behavior. If you go to her, she will give you $100. If you come to me, $50. That's the difference. So I'm going to take an autocratic process. And you know, I grew up in Chinese community, so autocratic is very normal. So I'm going to transfer this honor to my wife. They don't have to think. Even though there's a legal procedure in a document, so I'm just go ahead and transfer. You guys don't have anything to say.
I don't think I can hold it tonight.
Our second honoree this evening is Dr. Amy Chung. Dr. Chung's contributions in community service and as a World Mission volunteer are countless. I was so impressed when I read her biography. Telling Dr. Chung's story is her dear friend, Agnes Wolverton.
I have the pleasure to present Amy's story to you on behalf of her daughter, and she couldn't be here today. So tonight I have the distinct pleasure to share Amy's story with you. The first time I met Amy was in the early 1970s in my uncle's house while I was during my college years. One day I was in his house and I heard my aunt speaking Chinese dialect to a lady. And back then it was a rare dialect and I was excited. I came from Hong Kong. And so I rushed in there and I found Amy. She was dropping off her daughter for a piano lesson with my aunt. So the little that I found out Amy really inspired me. It's a great story. So I found out that my aunt told me that she recently got her MD degree and is practicing pediatrics. She came to this country speaking no English. She went through all her education while raising her daughter, Vicky. So I was really inspired and motivated and kind of put myself in my place because I thought I had it rough. But all I have to do is really being a good student and take care of myself. So earlier this year, while I was working on the project, I had the opportunity to learn more about Amy, who Amy is and what Amy did and does. It's a story that's heartfelt, inspirational, and full of fond memories. Amy was born in 1938. Sorry, Amy. In China, in Guangdong, China, in a one-room mud house. And just like many people at the time, it was a rough childhood because China herself was defending herself from foreign invasions and civil battles. And she and her family most of the time was on the run with only clothes on their back. But Amy proves to be a very good student. She excelled and she wanted to go for higher education. But she was denied because of her Christian faith. And worse yet, she could possibly facing persecution. So in 1956, Amy and her family found their way to Hong Kong. And soon afterwards, she was introduced to her late husband, Paul Chan, who was visiting Hong Kong. So they were kind of semi-matched. Paul was he's the owner of a Chinese restaurant here in town. It's legendary, no longer there. It was on 38th and College, and I'm sure a lot of you, the old timers, know where it was. So Amy, in 1958, she arrived in Indiana as a young bride, speaking no English. But she wanted to fulfill her dreams. She went to school and studied. And in 1971, she graduated, she got her doctorate in pediatric while raising her daughter Vicky. In 1974, she started her own private practice. And she and Paul, her late husband Paul, well, before that, let me go for this. While she was in her private practice, she never forget people who are in need in the community. She provided free medical services to people who has language barrier and to people who cannot afford medical care because they didn't have insurance. So, and Amy's still doing that, and we can find her name in our roster, in our schedule, in our Chinese free clinics today. So she's still doing that, even though she's retired. So, 1974, Amy and Paul started the World Mission. Until 1992, after Paul's passing, after the trip to Gala, Africa. And Amy continued her work, World Mission, medical mission work, from 1996 with Pastor Ditch until today. So she's a world traveler, but not in a normal sense. Her yearly medical services cover from South America, like Ecuador, Honduras, Colombia, to Eastern Europe, to India, Nepal, China, and it's just wonderful to see her work through the years. Couple works that's worth mentioning to you is in 2001, Amy and Pastor Ditch bought a building in Kyrgyzstan, which is neighboring to Xinjiang province in China. They bought a building and built a Christian school. So you can see it on the slides, right in the middle. And the elementary kids who started in 2001 is now in college. And one of the kids this year was admitted to American University, and the child came to visit Amy. So that was quite a rewarding and moving story. And another one is Amy also helped start a church in Guangxi, China, and is still flourishing today. So let me see here. Amy, we thank you very much for all you have done. And oh, by the way, her China trip covers from Guangdong, China, from the south to Yunnan, all the way to Mongolia through all these years. So, without further ado, Amy, may I have the pleasure to present to you the lovely, amazing Dr. Amy Chan. Thank you, Agnes. You have done a great job. You probably will do better than Victor. Thank you very much.
impact on countless families and individuals. Please welcome David Wolverton, who will share the story of Dr. Lawrence Lumé.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to present a significant individual in my life, Dr. Lawrence Lumé, as the next honoree. I wish to tell a story. Larry was born of overseas Chinese in pre-war Manila. He was the second youngest of 6 children, and his life growing up was spent in Manila and in the Philippines during the occupation and rebuilding period that took place there. It was the late 50s when Larry became a Hoosier. He came to Indiana University and entered the junior year to study for a degree in biochemistry. Larry was a very studious individual who worked hard and earned his doctorate from the Indiana School of Medicine. He performed his internship at the University of Chicago Hospital, but promptly returned after that to IU in what was to become a long relationship with that school. He began his residency in internal medicine and also did a fellowship in gastroenterology. Lawrence began at that time a long road trip between here and Chicago when he was smitten by his future bride, Pauline Young. Now, the dedication and effort that Lawrence would go through for this and most anything else is amazing sometimes. Larry, after long hours performing his residency duties, would jump into a car and drive to Chicago because she was a student at Northwestern University. Keep in mind, this was pre-I-65. Okay, the older individuals around here that have been here that long can understand what I'm talking about. Those that are younger can't imagine what it was like without I-65 to get to Chicago. Okay, Larry was in that period of time where he was drafted to the Army. He's a little bit more unique than most in that instead of being drafted as just a regular grunt, he was drafted really for his mind. His duties were rather strenuous, serving at Walter Reed, doing research. Okay, here's where I started to have my life with Larry. In 1977, Larry was kind enough to stand in and present me with my future bride, Agnes, because my father-in-law was not going to be able to attend. We developed a family relationship, and I got to know Larry a little bit after that, and that we would go have family dinners over at their house with Larry, Pauline, and his son, Gary. At the end of dinner, Larry was very consistent. He would do his household chores, quickly clean up whatever he needed to do around the house. And he'd do one of 2 things. He would proceed to go upstairs to his office, do research, and write grants. Now, on other special occasions, he would clear off the kitchen table, sit down, turn on IU basketball, do research, and write grants. Needless to say, you know where his oil is going. Besides being a highly honored physician and scientist, teacher, and administrator, he is also a passionate and caring individual, as witnessed by many individuals that have crossed his path, both patients, fellow workers, friends, family. He has always been willing to provide advice, guidance, and and assistance, and even help save lives on occasion. As you might have noticed, as you might notice on the slides, Larry co-founded the liver transplant program and served as its medical director. While some refer to him as a liver doctor, I can tell you he was also a rat doctor. For 40 years, he jointly ran a continuously federally funded program raising a bunch of drunk rodents. Okay, those drunk rodents contributed to society in the sense that they were used by researchers around the world in the study of human alcoholism. Aaron and Pauline are proud parents of son, Carrie, who also has followed Larry's footsteps. He is a medical doctor, he is a researcher, and he teaches at the University of Michigan's School of Medicine. His daughter, Emily, works with the New York State Board of Health doing research. Okay, so Larry has failed in one important aspect. The fold did not remain with IU. But Larry and his bride, Pauline, do enjoy the grandchildren that they now have. I feel fortunate to have crossed paths with a true legend. Okay, I feel he's been a very good example for Indiana and the Chinese community. I present to you Dr. Lawrence Romaine.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your comments. My mom and dad would be very happy with what you said about me. Unfortunately, they have long passed. They're now in a better place. And I'm very happy that tonight I share this event with many of my relatives. I probably have the most number of relatives here than any of you. So I have my nieces, Lalaine, Kate, and Alex, and their husbands. And also Lena, who is Agnes' sister. So I'm very fortunate that I have all the support from all my relatives. And that's, I'm very proud of them. Well, Indiana has been very good to me. I went to school here. I was able to work there. And I eventually built a nice department of gastroenterology and hepatology. And I'm very fortunate that way. And I feel very honored to be here tonight. And David, thank you for your comment. And thank you so much.
Is being recognized as an educator and an author who made significant contributions in the area of education. Her daughter, Toni, will share Dr. Lynn's story. Please welcome Toni Lynn.
Congratulations
the recipients tonight. In 1966, my mother, Phyllis Lam Lin, moved from Taiwan to Montana with a suitcase full of determination. She met my father while they were studying in Montana she met my father while they were studying in Missouri. They received their PhDs. And after that, they moved to Indianapolis to begin their careers. My father, Leon, in aerospace engineering, and my mother is a professor of sociology. To be a professor in our culture was regarded with such esteem that she really preferred to be called Professor Lin over Dr. Lin or Mrs. Lin. You really can't begin to introduce my mother without mention of her guiding philosophy, which this table has heard before by the three letters VIP: vision, integrity, and passion. These have been the driving forces behind her 30 published books, multiple international symposiums, directorships at the University of Indianapolis' Asian programs, as well as their printing press, and in forging relationships with universities in both China and Taiwan. She is living proof that an Asian American female can rise to become a leader and an amazing role model for her daughter and the community. She was recognized as one of Indiana Business Journal's 30 most influential women many years ago, and given her own day by Mayor Hudnut many, many years ago. While undergoing surgery and chemotherapy for breast cancer, some may have taken sick leave. Instead, my mother taught, and she wrote, and she spoke, because that truly is her lifeblood. The year that she was diagnosed, the program of social work that she spearheaded was given her namesake. The Phyllis Lin program of social work has now become a department this year, and my mother has been cancer-free for 17 years, two really fantastic accomplishments. Instead of slowing down in what some may consider to be the twilight of their career, she was named Associate Vice President for International Affairs and Senior Vice President of the Collaborative International College with China at the University of Indianapolis in the last 5 years. So she's not slowing down at all, despite many recommendations from her family. I technically am an only child, but my mother's thousands of other children consist of the many students who graced her classes. More than a few were my babysitters over the years. And also the exchange students who would call us at midnight from China with issues about their visa, shed tears at our kitchen table out of homesickness, and really the entire UND campus, beginning when it was a little place called Indiana Central University. This is really what has been my mother's dream and her family, her vision, her life of integrity, and her passion. So thank you for recognizing my mother and allowing me to share how proud and awestruck we are of your accomplishments. And as on a personal note, my field is made up of 3% women, and I want to thank you for the fact that I never even knew what that statistic meant. I had no idea. I recently learned that I'm the only orthopedic surgeon in the city who's a mother, and you're the reason that that's possible. So thank you.
Speechless. And tonight I know I cannot profess, even though I've been a professor for more than 4 decades. Tony, I'm proud of more than that. I'm proud of myself. always to be conservative and accomplished. What I have done in my life is no exception. Therefore, first and foremost, I must express my thanks to all the 贵人 in my life. The Chinese expression 贵人 refers to those who support you, your mentors, your sponsors. And I'm so blessed to have so many 贵人 in my life. They give me assistance, they give me support, and everything else. Tonight's award recognition, it's really not me. It should be attributed to all the way in my life. Therefore, first and foremost, I must express my thanks to all my greatness. Allow me to express my thanks to them for their unconditional support. First and most, without family. Just like Albert has said, his wife received half of the award. In my case, they are fortunately chopped into 3 pieces, or 3 in 1. It's an award to my daughter and to my husband, the 44 years. You know, Leon, we moved to Indiana in 1972. He worked for GM for 10 years. And then in 1982, General Electric in the East Coast called him and said they had some important military project, would like him to be engaged. And I said, oh my God, we have to uplift ourselves and move to the East Coast. And Leon said, no, we found the good earth, in a quote from Roy's book. We found the good earth in Indiana. Stay put in Indiana. This is our home. This is our home away from home. So he commuted 10 years. He started commuting when Tony was 4. And then in his last 10 years of his career, Taiwan government was developing some aerospace industry and satellite. And they called upon him. And Leon said, I must do something for my home country, regardless how much I love Indiana. So he went to Taiwan for 10 years. He developed with his team the 2 first satellites in Taiwan. And upon the time he said the same thing, Shirley, don't move me back with me to Taiwan. Stay put in Indiana. It's good for our child. It's good for us. This is the good earth. Hoosiers, this is the good earth. What we have today because we are here. If we were in other states, I don't think I could have accomplished what I have done. Another of my family members who is here today is my son-in-law, Sean Ash. He's with Channel 13. You might have seen him in evening news. Channel 13, Sean Ash. And he's from Kentucky. But he would rather move to Indiana because he he trusted his mother-in-law that Indiana is a good earth. Also, many of my Guiren from University of Indianapolis are here today. Let me introduce them to you. Dr. David Wants, Vice President. Mr. Colin Wilson, Associate Vice President. Dr. Julie Geiheimer, Professor of Physical Therapy. Dr. Jane Drake, Dean of College of Arts and Sciences. because my dear colleagues and my students at University of Indianapolis that I decided to stay at UIndy. And I've been working there for over 4 decades and still going strong. Tony, you're right. There is no sign of slowing down. Last but not the least, my longtime friend, my mentor, and my sponsor, Kathy Blitzer-Krager. Kathy is Director of International Education Department at the state government. She was also the former Deputy Mayor of Indiana. You see, I must have some Indiana government's connection in order to thrive. And Kathy also was the Executive Director of International Center of Indianapolis and also the former Vice President of International College. And with all of my family and Kathy and community leaders and then my colleagues from University of Indianapolis, that I was able to do what I would like to do. And before I move one more, before I move a little bit forward, I must say a small story for another 2 minutes about my husband. He's not just telling me to stay put here. One of the good things about my husband, which is a little bit unusual for the Chinese, that he allows me to spend all the money he has earned. And then he also let me keep all the money I have earned. So that's our Chinese husband. He is a little bit different from you. Thank you, all my mentors and my parents tonight. And without your support, nurture, and mentorship, excuse me, I will not be on this stage tonight. There are also countless friends in the American Chinese community whom I have always emulated, including Dr. Winnie Kerr, Dr. Vicky Kerr, and Dr. David Wong, and Christina Wong, and Dr. Thierry Yen, and Mark Yen, and Dr. Zhang Honglin, and his wife, Gong Zhenghua, many others. If I continue to name them, we'll have to stay here. Right. And of course, I want to thank Edwin for this event, and she also my mentor in many different ways. I simply want to say that these Chinese American friends, I simply follow their footsteps in serving our great city and our great state. And there are much more I can learn from them. To further express my gratitude for this evening's recognition, I pledge to continue to devote myself to serve our Chinese American community and to serve this great city and great state of Indiana. I am a Hoosier because I have lived here for 42 years. But there is still one important thing I have to learn. That is, I should try harder to acquire Hoosier accent. Only upon that time I can call myself a true member of the American Chinese Hoosier community. It may take me another 42 years to have the proper accent, but I know I will make it. Again, I want to acknowledge that to receive this honor tonight is beyond expression in words for me. Thank you all
his work as a world-renowned scientist. Please welcome Conrad Wong as he shares the story of his father.
History, December 7, 1941, marks the day that Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. For David Wong, he remembers that date as the day that Japan bombed Hong Kong, and subsequently the Japanese occupation of Hong Kong. At that time, my father was only 6 years old, and because of the war, his grade school education was suspended for the next several years. Fast forward to the summer of 1957. On the night before my father departed Hong Kong Harbor for the United States to start his college career, he took a walk with my grandfather, who gave him a very strong mandate. Go and find a career that will benefit mankind. Fast forward to 1968. Dad moved my mother and I to Indianapolis that year so that he could start his first and only job. For the next 32 years at Eli Lilly, Dad would have a remarkable and distinguished career that encompassed the discovery and development of 3 breakthrough medicines for menopause. Dad and his colleagues' visionary and scientific efforts led to the discovery and development of Prozac, Strattera, and Cymbalta. These 3 drugs not only revolutionized how neuroscience was studied, but revolutionized how mental illness is treated today. I think my first appreciation for my father's contribution to science and medicine was probably in the early 1990s when I started seeing mental health patients for myself during my clinical internship at graduate school. I quickly was impressed by how many of my patients were taking Prozac. More importantly, I witnessed firsthand the clinical benefits that my patients received after taking this medicine. Prozac, the medicine my father helped discover and develop, relieved the suffering of so many patients with major depressive disorder. My dad's later discoveries of Strattera and Cymbalta led to effective therapies for treating attention deficit disorder, depression, and chronic pain. Combined, these 3 drugs have accounted for millions of patients who have experienced relief from mental illness and chronic pain, and generated billions of dollars over the Fast forward to spring of 2008. Dad has already retired from Lilly, but I decided to take a crack at drug development and join Eli Lilly as a clinical research scientist. My job was to take drugs that were coming from the discovery labs, the same labs that my dad came from, and put them into clinical trials for the first time to test for safety, tolerability, and ultimately to see if it worked. What very few people appreciate are all the hurdles a drug must go through before making it to the market. The reasons for failure are numerous and can include poor tolerability, poor safety, or just the simple fact that they don't help patients. My new experience at Lilly has given me a whole new level of appreciation for my dad's contributions and accomplishments to science and medicine. For someone who has contributed to the discovery of 3 major drugs that made it to market is truly a remarkable accomplishment. I always knew my dad was a great neuroscientist, but I have to say that now I consider him a rock star. I told you that my dad moved my mom and I to Indianapolis in 1968. Back in the day, Indy was better known as Indianapolis. closest Chinese family lived down the street from us. They were Uncle Terrence, Auntie Margaret, and their three beautiful daughters, Lisa, Grace, and Tina. The three of us boys tried to date their daughters all those years, but to little success. Dad and Mom were very instrumental in fostering the Chinese community in Indianapolis. They did this by helping establish the Indianapolis Chinese Community Church. I remember my dad packing us up in the station wagon every Sunday and faithfully making the trek to the north side of Indianapolis to attend Chinese church. My dad's Christian faith is very important to him. And one of the best ways he knew to serve the Chinese community was to ensure that the Chinese had a place to worship. Dad and Mom always had an open home policy for Chinese students who came to America for education. It was not uncommon to have Chinese students, as well as other foreign students, at our home for fellowship and, of course, for a good home-cooked meal. Holidays such as Thanksgiving was always a time we would find foreign students in our home. I think because of my mom and dad's warmth, kindness, and generosity, I simply think that they became known as the cornerstone of the Indianapolis Chinese American community. I'm humbled for my family and as an Asian American of this community to have an opportunity to present this award to my father, a man who has definitely answered his father's mandate. Go and benefit America. Dad.
Thanks, Conrad, for the introduction. And I'm very proud of you, and your mom very proud. Thanks, the member of IAAT for the recognition and the honor. You have a large field of these well-deserved candidates, and I'm being recognized and feel humble. All the contribution I have made or been credited, I owe much to my lovely wife, Christina, of 51 years. And to my parents. My father passed away 20 years ago. My mom's 97 still with her, for their encouragement and enduring love. To my children and my grandchildren, they bring us pride, joy, and inspiration. Four of our grandchildren are here. Lauren is 16, sitting there. Samuel is 11. Over there is Anne, 14, and Lynn is 12. Anne and Lynn come from, and their mother, our daughter-in-law, Gala, came from Minneapolis, Minnesota, just for this occasion. I also owe much to the Lilly Research Laboratories, which afford me the opportunity to do research on my interests, and also the opportunity to work with outstanding scientists, colleagues, and also associates. Two of them are with us tonight. Ms. Annie Feldkamp, who worked with me for almost 20 years, and her husband, Rauhauser worked with me for 4 years. And unfortunately, the other ones unable to attend. And also so glad that very dear friends of mine are also with us. Dr. Huang Xiaoling and his wife, Dr. Chao Hong Li and his wife, Jane. And very we become very good friends, and also over the last few years is Professor Rod Samuelson, his wife, and Professor Samuelson is the chairman of the Department of Chemistry in Ball State University. He and I have been working together the last 4 years. And Dr. Fang and Mrs. Fang Zhou from medical school. Of course, I also have many good friends in the audience. Professor Lu Ming and his wife, Pauline. So it's Phyllis Len and her husband. So it's just honor. One family that I would like to mention especially. We ever since we moved in the city of Indianapolis, 1968, and the Young family, and Dickie Young and I used to play soccer in the backyard. Christina and I moved here with Conrad at the time 1 year old in 1968. Indianapolis had afforded us a place, a comfortable place, for the family to grow, to be educated, to work, and to pursue life goals. We took, very often we took our children to state parks, where we enjoy the natural beauty. Indianapolis is our hometown, and in the state of Indiana is our home state. May I have a last couple of minutes? Our 3 sons, Conrad Mao and Vincent, pursue higher education in college, beyond, and we earn advanced degrees in graduate schools. I believe that they benefit from the early childhood preschooling. I was delighted to read the newspaper about the city administration of Indianapolis have a vision of having, hopefully fund the preschooling in the city of the children that are all disadvantaged. And shortly after, Lilly Foundation pledged support of such an endeavor. As a member of the community, I hope that we, as Asian American, would give support to such early childhood education in our city. Hopefully, the Asian American Times will give the printing space to update us on progress of this endeavor and this pivotal effort in our dear community. I thank you very much for your time.
For his military service and as a legendary restaurateur, Mr. Pat Wong will be our next honoree. Please welcome Lindsay Kaversky, I hope I pronounced that right, telling the story of her grandfather.
He was born in Canton, China on October 10, 1920.
father in 1935 at the age of 15. They settled in Fresno, California, and decided to call that home. Patrick's mother and sisters never joined the family in the United States, but stayed in China until their passing. Papa enlisted in the Field Artillery Division of the United States Army in 1942, shortly after the attack on Pearl Harbor. His bilingual nature, in both Chinese and English, made him an ideal candidate for his assignment to intelligence school training, but he opted to finish his enlistment in the Army Air Corps until his honorable discharge in 1946. During his time in the Army Air Corps, Patrick was stationed in England and worked as an electrician. After serving our country, Papa moved to another form of service in the restaurant industry, owning the Hong Lee on Indiana Avenue, as well as the Peacock Restaurant on the corner of New York and Illinois Street. He later was instrumental in the opening and establishment of the Zhonghai Restaurant at 22nd and Meridian Street. This restaurant was a mainstay in Indianapolis for over 30 years. Patrick also served on the board of directors of a minority business enterprise corporation for 10 years from 1993 to 2003. Papa was married briefly from 1946 to 1950, during which time his eldest daughters Sandra and Linda were born. He moved to Indy in 1950, and Terry, Diana, and Patrick were born over the next 9 years after he married my granny, Zona Bell Rogers, in 1952. They were married for over 50 years until her passing in 2004. Together, they raised their 5 children to be productive citizens of the Indianapolis area and instilled in them the importance of education and integrity. Patrick's 5 children gave him 8 grandchildren: Stephen, Michelle, Christina, Anthony, John Edward, Richard, Patrick Dennis II, and myself, Lindsay. In turn, these grandchildren gave him 10 great-grandchildren. In order to show a little bit about my papa's personality, I'd like to tell a short story. In March of 2012, Papa was diagnosed with an abdominal aneurysm, which would be considered a serious condition, especially for a nonagenarian. He was told that they could schedule his surgery on April 24th or May 1st. His reply was, "I can't do that on April 24th. That's my bowling banquet." At 92 years old, his priorities were with his fellow bowlers and not his surgery. And with that, it's my great pleasure and with great pride, I introduce you today to my papa, Patrick H. Wong.
Got nothing to say. All you people, educated, I'm not. I'm just a dumb cook. So thank you for everything and enjoy your company. When I first come to Indianapolis, got about 37 Chinese in here. Right now, I see all the people, it really surprises me. And I think right now, when I come in 1950, maybe about 2 or 3 people left over here. The original Chinese.
Sharing the story of her amazing mother is Vicki Coe.
Hi everyone, I don't have any script, but I'm just going to tell stories. There's so many outstanding people here being honored, and after everybody's accomplishment, I can't say what my mom could compare. But one thing she did that you guys can't top her, she lived to 103 years old. And then you might wonder, how did she end up in Indianapolis? Well, I guess it started with my dad. My dad was 10 years older than my mom, so he was born in 1901. And then goes back, and when he was about 15 years old, he came with my uncle to Chicago. Of course, a typical Chinese profession, Chinese laundry. And then a little later, he came to Indianapolis as a waiter. And at the only Chinese restaurant in Indianapolis, and the circle was called Bamboo Inn. So he worked there, and there's a couple, Dr. and Mrs. Pell, and they would come all the time, and they really liked my dad, and really encouraged him to learn English well, and get an education. So he started working, so he went to church, and found his religion, he loved God, and also learned English there. And then I don't know how he worked and how he get through high school and went to Boston for a few years. And then he finally went to Bloomington, and cut the story short, so in 1936, he got his PhD in chemistry, in organic chemistry. And during that time, he would hitchhike back to Indianapolis every weekend to make his living. And Dr. and Mrs. Pell would always give a $1 tip. That's a lot of money back then. So that was 1936, and during Depression and all that, and he wanted to go back to China. So he was back in China, and let's see, some friends tried to introduce him to my mom, and my mom went to a missionary school, and she learned English, and so she was only, even at a young age, she was only 4 feet 10. She said, I'm not going to get married unless he's tall. My dad's about 6 feet tall, and he has to speak English, the Chinese speak English. And he has to be a Christian, do not smoke, do not dance, and blah, blah, blah. So when she was 27, she was still an old maid. Confirmed old maid. While her mom was trying to marry her off since 15, 16, telling how rich this landlord is and all that. So she got so fed up, she went to Shanghai and joined her uncle and just ran away, literally. So my dad showed up. She waited long enough, she got what she wanted. So got married and had kids and all that. So we lived in Canton, like we knew everybody, like Amy's parents were good friends of my parents, and so it goes way back. So it was a wonderful life, and then just continued to have, married, have 5 children, and then it gets to the 50s. They are very, very devoted to the church, and it was getting a little more pressure for going to church. And so she said, well, it's time to get out. So she managed and orchestrated the whole exodus for the whole family to Hong Kong, where her parents were retiring in Hong Kong. We used to go to Hong Kong every summer, but it was getting harder and harder. So she got all of us one by one to Hong Kong, and when my dad got to Hong Kong, his roommate at IU found out he's out of China. Right away, he sent $1,000, and that's a lot of money again in 1960. So Dr. Pell passed away, and Mrs. Pell was still living. So he ordered his son-in-law and daughter and said, you gotta get David back here. So he found a sponsor from IU, and at that time my dad was 60 years old already. So IU hired him. I don't know why or how. Anyway, he was hired by IU at age 60, and IU even loaned us a fare, the whole family, 7 of us, to come back. So my dad started life all over again at age 60, and with 5 children, none of us spoke English. And my mom had to manage, the everyday life, and she drove my dad to work every day. My dad didn't want to drive at 60. My mom did. So my dad continued to work for 10 more years and retired as emeritus professor at IU. So behind every great man, there's a great woman. That's my mom. So there she is. Mom cannot be here, but she would not give a speech, but her great-granddaughter Jasmine will say a few words. So we like to, I know if she's here, she would say thank God for his abundant blessing on her and her family, and thank IAAT for the great honor. Thank you, everyone.
I think we should have one more round of applause for all of our honors. So now it's the time, the moment we've all been waiting for, the big raffle drawing. And we will be doing 2 drawings tonight. The first drawing will be for a 2-night stay at the downtown museum at Los Omni for 2 people and 2 nights. And it has a $500 value. So we will draw that first. So for the 2-night stay at the Omni Hotel, ticket number 142480. 142480.
And also after this, those who want to hang around, the cold water room will be open, and we're going to have a trombone trio playing cold water music. So you're welcome to stay around, listen to the music, and swing to it. And thank you so much for coming tonight. Hopefully, we'll see you again in the near future when IAAT is planning to celebrate the rising star of the Chinese community.